It is Tuesday, November 9th. At 7:30, I'd like to call the regular council meeting of the city of Twinsburg to order. Shannon, please call the roll.
Mr. Scafidi?
Here.
Mr. Fury?
Here.
Mrs. Walker?
Present.
Mr. Barr?
Here.
Mrs. Stauffer?
Here.
Mr. Bellin?
Here.
Mrs. Labby? Here.
Okay, at this time, we will have the invocation and pledge led by Mayor Gates.
Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Help us to engage in meaningful discussion, allow us to grow closer as a group, and nurture the bonds of community. Fill us with your grace as we make decisions that affect all of our residents and businesses and our dedicated city employees. Bless those away from us, serving to protect our country. We ask all these things in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, next we have the approval of the regular council meeting minutes from October 26th. Everybody had a chance to look at them. Does anybody have any, can I have a motion to approve them?
Make a motion to approve the regular council meeting minutes from October 26th as submitted.
Is there a second?
I second.
Any discussion on that? Shannon, call the roll.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mrs. Stauffer?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes. Okay, minutes passes 7-0. Awards and presentations. Tonight, we're honored to have Mr. Tom Queen from Congressman David Joyce's office, who's here to present some flags for us tonight. Mr. Queen, come on up. Sure. Welcome.
My name is Thomas Queen. It's my privilege, indeed my pleasure, to be here on behalf of Congressman Dave Joyce. At the request of Councilwoman Walker, we are bringing some flags to some of the members of the council. It's a tradition that's been in Congress for 84 years. It was initially began with a representative from Missouri who would received a request from some constituents who asked for the flag over the Capitol, and these flags have been flown over the Capitol of the United States. It's also a way for the congressman to express his thanks to you as local elected officials who don't get the credit you deserve and have spent countless hours away from your families and your homes and yet have sought to serve the community. So it's truly a privilege on behalf of the congressman to present these flags. We thank you on behalf of the congressman very much for your good service. And with your assistance, I'll pass up the flags.
Yeah, you know, we would like to really, from our perspective, we want to thank the congressman for asking for these flags to be flown over the Capitol and then being able to give them to us and recognize us as well. So we want to recognize him and thank him for all of his service as well. I also want to thank Mrs. Walker because, you know, this is a program that Mrs. Walker's brought to our city council. She's contacted you or in your office to try to bring this here as well. So thank you, Daisy Walker, for doing that. And we thank you for being here and representing the congressman. We really appreciate it all. Tonight we're going to, so far I've been a recipient. I believe Mr. Fury's been a recipient and the mayor's been, we've all been proud recipients of these flags. So again, on our behalf, thank you very much. Tonight, we're going to go ahead and present it to the rest of council. So what I'd like to do is have everybody up front, Councilman Bellin, Mrs. Walker, Mr. Barr, Mrs. Stauffer, Mrs. Labby. And actually tonight, we're also going to present our new councilman-elect, Mr. Post. Come on up and you're going to get a flag tonight. So you want to stand like up in front, that'd be great.
So on behalf of the congressman and the Congress of the United States of America, it's my privilege to present you with these flags that have flown over the Capitol and are representative of the sacrifice of generations of Americans, including your own. And we're deeply grateful as a nation for what you have given and what you intend to give as service to the United States and to the city of Twinsburg. So thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
truly a gift. Yeah.
Mrs. Walker.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Appreciate it. There you are. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Yes.
We have one more. Is there another? Okay, should I leave that or do you want to do it one
She will take it and hold it.
time? All right.
We'll get it to her.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Okay. Thank you again to the Congressman and you, Mr. Queen. We really appreciate the presentation. So thanks so much. Moving on, we'll go to audience participation.
Tonight we have Bruce Baldwin.
Okay, good evening, everybody. First of all, Council, I would like to tell you I do not drive around Twinsburg looking to bring this or that problem to you. But if I see these things problems, why a person or persons not seeing this who are paid to? Second, where Cannon Road that ends in Route 82, it's hard to see trying to make a left turn going east. I brought this problem up before. It's getting worse. Of course, now the leaves are off the trees, so it's getting better in a way. But this is bad. If you happen to watch these people, they got to sneak out there to make a left turn. I brought this up before. To me, somebody can get hurt. Somebody hit the guardrail, but I don't think it was because of that. The guardrail had been destroyed. It must have been a truck. Teamster, probably. Liberty Solvents, Route 82 at Cannon. The fire plug has been taped off. I would hate to see the place catch fire. Across the street is no address. How long has the back of that building? Old truck. Anybody familiar with Truckers Inn? I don't think you were around then.
No.
Well, be lying to me or that you don't want to admit it.
Is that Bob Wilson's place?
No, I don't know the name of the. There's a name on the place, but I don't know who the heck is in there. I don't know. Take a look at the old Novak property, which is a house next to where Liberty Chemicals is. Like I said, place across the street behind that building, old Truckers Inn. It's been that way for at least 2 years. Stuff piled there. I kept thinking, somebody's going to keep thinking, but they haven't. And I want to thank you for getting the branches cleaned up on Cannon Road, heading towards. I see they finally came and got. I don't know what they must have had a problem with the weather. I don't know, whatever it was, but thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, on the fire hydrants, you have to deal with Cleveland Water on those, I guess, right?
Yes.
Who would you rather deal with, me, Cleveland Water, or my understudies here? You know who I'm talking about, don't you? Military men. Hey, thank you.
Thank you.
That's all we have this evening.
That's it. Thank you, Mr. Baldwin. Okay, next we move on to council communication and committee reports. Mrs. Stauffer.
Okay. So I attended the ARB meeting on November 4th. There were 2 items on the agenda. One at 10735 Ravenna Road, Twinsburg Pharmacy sign was approved as submitted. The second case was actually tabled. It has to do with a deck. So that was tabled and that'll come back. Our next meeting is November 18th. I also attended the Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion meeting yesterday here in council chambers. At that time, we went through each of the subcommittees did their report, and then we did recommend a consultant for it. And so I guess Mr. Michael will, Mr. Brown will talk about that. And the next meeting I have for the JEDI committee is going to be on the 22nd of November. That'll be the subcommittee meeting. And there is a CIC meeting coming up, but I can't remember the date. And that's all I have for tonight.
That's it?
Yep.
Okay. Mr. Fury.
Thank you. I attended a planning commission meeting on November 1st, and Mr. Barr is going to report on that. Hey, Mark, can you pull that down for me? Okay. I just saw in the news today that they're talking about closing additional pipelines in the United States. And oil and gas affect the price of natural gas. When I look, I believe that you're going to see 100% increases in the price of natural gas from now to February. Consultants will say that. In fact, all you have to do is look on apples to apples, and anything fixed is already in the $4 to $5 to $6 range, and that's in October and November. When you get to January and February, that's when their prices peak. This is a picture of what is listed on your gas bill, and in the cutout red section is who actually supplies your gas. Dominion East Ohio is the carrier. It's not necessarily who you get your gas from. So there will be a phone number there and a name of the company, and you should take a look to find out how long your contract is for, if you have a contract or if you're on a variable, and to understand what your costs are now and what they could be in the near future. Mark, you change the slide. Twinsburg signed 2 years ago a 3-year fixed contract at $2.82. Any resident in the city of Twinsburg can call 800. I can't read that number, but the 800 number that's up there, as well as the Constellation email address, and you can get this price. You can get it in December, January, February, and it is good through September of 2022. And the city will be working on getting a 2023 rate probably in July. Usually we're 6 months, 3 or 4 months out before that happens, and we have some specialists that some consultants that have worked with us for years to make sure that we're getting the best available deals. But if you don't know what your gas price is, you should check it. Mark, can you show the next slide? This is what the prices on apples to apples compared to, we have a $2.82 price. If you go out on your own today, that's what you're looking at. $3 increases, $2 increases. And I believe that those numbers have risen since that was printed. So take a look at your gas bill. If you have any questions, contact City Hall. My contact information is available. But an average house in Twinsburg uses 120 MCF a year. When you're talking about a $3 or $4 increase in the price of natural gas on variables, which and again your usage is more in the winter months, October, November, December, January, February, it's going to get really expensive. The same rules to gas also apply to electric to a certain extent, in that bill from Ohio Edison also shows you who you're contracting your electric with. For electric, the city is a member of NOPEC. So we have the NOPEC price that is basically automatic on your bill. But there are other options, and again, you can see those on Apples to Apples Electric. It's the PUCO website, Public Utilities Commission of Ohio. Again, it's confusing, but if you're not paying attention, this is the year that you're going to end up paying hundreds of dollars more to heat your house. So, and thank you. That's all I have this evening.
Thank you. Mr. Barber.
Good evening. Thank you. I'd like to thank Mr. Fury for that information about the gas bill. I need to check when I get home. I'd also like to thank him for attending the Planning Commission meeting on November 1st. There was one item on the agenda for Planning Commission on November 1st, and it was a Ford conditional use permit for a personal training studio at 1893 East Aurora Road for Mr. John Kilborn. It's permanent parcel number 6406420. There's a public hearing held. Following the public hearing, or at the conclusion, there was a work session and discussion regarding the same. And the conditional use permit was approved in an I-2 district 5-0 by the Planning Commission. And I believe Mr. Scafidi is going to bring a motion to us this evening to address that, or you're going to make the motion?
We have a resolution.
Or a resolution,
Yeah.
Right, it's already on there. Apologies. The next meeting of the Planning Commission is scheduled for December 13th here in Council Chambers at 7 p.m. So we hope to see you then. I'd like to thank everybody who volunteered to make Election Day go smoothly. It was seamless this year, and the weather seemed to cooperate, albeit a bit chilly. Congratulate everybody and thank everybody for exercising their most basic constitutional right to pick and choose who represents them. And that is all I have this evening. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Mrs. Walker.
Good evening, everyone. I did attend the Parks and Rec meeting on October 28th, and we discussed the improvements that they're going to be doing on Sharon Brook, the little picnic area that they have. And then they're going to put a sign up on Hickory Trail. I guess someone just tore it off and did whatever they had to do. And then they want us to remind people, if you have a dog, please keep them on their leash, and please carry a paper bag or a plastic bag just in case they leave presents all around. There's this lady, she lives in Stone Creek. She's a resident, and she said that this past Wednesday was a great day for her, as someone came and they cut the weeds and the tall grass and trimmed the trees. So I think Mr. Campbell, you know who did it, so thank you, and I will let her know that your department and you helped make her day on that Wednesday. And I did attend the full Jedi meeting yesterday, and Mrs. Stauffer gave a great report. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Walker. Mr. Bellin.
Thank you. Good evening. I'd first like to start off by thanking everybody who came out to vote on Tuesday, November 2nd. I'd like to thank the residents that supported me. It is my honor to continue to serve as your Ward 5 representative to council. I'd also like to give special thanks and recognition to those people that worked at the polls. That is a truly thankless job. They're there from beginning of the day to the end, so thank you very much. I attended the fireworks to celebrate Diwali on Saturday, November 6th. It was simply an amazing event. It was an awesome turnout. I've already had several residents ask me if that we could do fireworks at that location, so I'm just throwing that out there, passing it along.
We should notify the residents about
Right. I attended last night's meeting of the Full Jedi Committee meeting. The next Full Jedi meeting will be on Monday, November 8th at, Monday, December 13th at 6 p.m. in council chambers. Board of Zoning Appeals is scheduled to meet next on Wednesday, November 24th, 6:30 p.m., also here in council chambers. Nothing further this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Labby.
Thank you. I also wanted to thank the voters who came out and threw a vote my way. I was unopposed, but it was nice to get a few votes anyway. I actually stood out and had the opportunity to meet Mr. Michael Walker, who was not successful in getting on the school board, but had a really nice time getting to know him. I wanted to say it's sad that Maureen will be leaving. I saw Maureen in action after last council meeting. She stopped. There was a woman with a child stopped in the road. Her car was smoking. She followed her up to Post Road, and we pulled over, and we called the fire department, who responded in aces. And then she stayed with the woman and drove her home. So 12 years of compassion, and great. I've seen firsthand teaching. She was my son's teacher, and it's still, and that's why she's so great. Such compassion. Thank you, Maureen. I attended the Family Fall Festival on October 30th. Congrats to Jen and crew. It was a superb event. I was able to see Fire Chief Morgan up there, and good participation by the police department, all handing out candy. The kids had a great time. So congrats to Jen. It was something different, and it went over really well. I also had the opportunity to watch and I believe it's pronounced Diwali lights. Diwali is the festival of lights. Usually about 5 days. It is a Hindu celebration. Our Indian community had an event and put it on. They were fabulous. It was a fabulous display of lights. I have a meeting of the Golf Advisory Committee next Tuesday, 11/16 at 6:30. And again, thank you, Congressman, for the flag. I think it is truly a gift that I will cherish. Thank you.
That's it? Okay. My committees have not met, but first of all, I would like to congratulate all my colleagues that were elected or re-elected last Tuesday. Even though they were unopposed, I'm sure that had they been opposed, the outcome would have still been the same. We'd all be here together and working throughout the next couple of years together as well. I'd also like to congratulate Mr. David Post. He's the councilman-elect in Ward 4, taking Maureen Stauffer's place. And yeah, he does have some big shoes to fill, Maureen. And so we thank you also for your service. We've got another meeting with you. So we'll save our sentiments then for that time, but thank you. So congratulate to all. One thing I want to bring up tonight on my report is the waste management contract. As some folks know that have watched the meetings or have listened to what's going on, there have been some problems with the trash collection service, and truthfully, the folks from Waste Management came out, we had a meeting, and I think they took care of the service issues. There doesn't seem to be any. Today was probably a good example of that when they had various drivers were on vacation and some were out sick, so they had spare drivers out there. And they covered our community, and it's almost 8 o'clock tonight, and I've had no calls, and I believe nobody else has either. So they did do a good job. My motion that I'm going to make, though, has nothing to do with service, and I want to make no mistake about that. I'm going to make a motion. I am making a motion that we put the waste management contract out to bid. This is the last meeting that we have the opportunity to do that because of the timing of putting it out to bid and then being able to get the bid specs back, all the bid responses back, and then give them their 60-day notice that's in our contract that we need to give them. The reason I think we should do this, and this is my opinion, if we don't put this out to bid, we will be there with them another 3 years on an extension. That's 13 years we've been with the same vendor. And to date we're spending $1.4 million a year on this contract. If you look at it, if you add it all up, we're spending like $5 million on a contract that we've never bid out, that we just keep extending and extending and extending. In my opinion, I think that we have a fiduciary promise that we need to make to our residents, and I think that we need to put this out there and just see what's out there. I know that there's been concern about one-day collection. We have one-day collection now, and we've had one-day collection. We put in the specs that we want one-day collection, but we would look at a 2-day collection if somebody bid or was necessary. So, I mean, that's really my reason. It has nothing to do with service. I don't want anybody to think it has to do with service. I've become somewhat of the trash collection guru in the city because of my remarks. I do get a lot of calls about trash service, and especially in my ward. So, but again, they seem to have cleared it up, and they're doing pretty good, and they have done pretty good. I'd be the first to admit it. I just think that after 10 years, and again, if we don't put it out to bid, we're going to be 13 years in, and we've got over $1 million contract that we have not bid out. I think that we can do better than that. That's my opinion, so that's my motion. Is there a second?
I second.
Mrs. Walker seconds? Okay, comments?
Yes, and I just want to say that, I like waste management too, but I also think that we should compare apples to apples and just to see. For all we know, whatever package that we get back, it may be higher than waste management. We don't know. And I'm not saying that waste management has not done a great job for the city of Twinsburg, because they have. But I still think that we need to look and do some comparison. But I'm not saying, that I dislike waste management. I absolutely like them. I know the people that work there. But I do think after this time that we do need a comparison with our garbage.
Anybody else? Mr. Bell.
I agree with everything that you said about we having a fiduciary responsibility to the members of this community. I will not be supporting that motion because I believe that we have that fiduciary responsibility. I do not believe that at this time, with supply chain issues, with issues getting people to work, I think today is a perfect example. Again, we did hear from Waste Management, and I didn't get a phone call either. I just don't think that coming out of this pandemic, which is not over, I just don't think that right now is the time to go out. Thank you.
Anybody else? Shannon, call the roll.
Can I ask?
Oh, Mr. Fury, go ahead.
So the motion is to go to bid. So if you vote yes, we're going to bid. If you vote no, we're not going to bid.
Correct. My motion is
Thank
to
you.
go out to bid
I just wanted to understand.
for
what
trash
I
and
wanted to know
collection.
was-
Trash and recycling collection.
I just want to explain something too, because personnel is my strength. I have a good friend who works at McDonald's. He's worked there for 40-something years. McDonald's is a performance indicator of what's happening in the country, believe it or not, because it has always been a successful company, always. He runs two McDonald's. He's been working as a crew person for the past 3 to 4 months. This is not the time to ask a company to hire more personnel. It's just not going to happen. It's not good out there. It's at an all-time disastrous low of people working in restaurants and lower jobs. I don't know what to say. I don't think it's a good time. I don't think timing is right at all. I would have said this in.
Okay.
But
Well, just to answer, I don't think we're asking anybody to hire more personnel. We're just asking to go out to bids, and if a company can't perform on our contract because of personnel, they won't bid. Okay.
Not sure about that.
Well, they may bid, but then they've got a service that they need to provide, and the only reason it's coming up right now is because our contract's up with Waste Management, or it wouldn't be coming up right now. So. We've done a lot of things that I think were bad timing, and not that makes it right. It doesn't make it right, but we've got this window of opportunity. We only get this window every 3 years when the bid expires, and so we've let it go for 10 years, and we're going to let it go if we do another 3 years. That'll be 13 years without bidding out this contract. So my only discussion there is that we're not asking anybody to hire any more people. Waste Management already has the people, and if they want to continue to perform here, they know what they need to do to bid. So that's my thoughts. Mr. Barr.
Mr. Scafidi, if I may, my initial reaction to this conversation, we started talking about it quite some time ago, was absolutely we need to go out to bid. It's the right thing to do. We need to look at all our options. It's like buying a car. You go look at everything on the lot. The problem is no cars in the lot right now to look at. I'm really torn. I'm really torn with this. To your point, we are only discussing this because the contract is currently up, which infers that, I'm not putting words in anybody's mouth, but that we're okay with the status quo. Not necessarily we're paying for it, but we're happy with what we're getting. We have had our issues. I believe those have been dealt with or worked through. My concern is solely based on timing right now. I know that we're looking at a 3-year extension. I can tell you conclusively, if it was a 1-year extension of our current contract to see where we stand 12 months from now, to go off of what Mrs. Labby said, I don't know that we're going to be in any better shape, but I still feel like we're coming off the heels of just a really bad situation globally. So not to belabor the point, I suppose I have a difficult time going out to bid today. We owe it to the residents to go out to bid. I don't know that I can support going out to bid today.
If this was a 1-year extension, I would probably not have even made this bid. This motion tonight. But it just bothers me that we bid out. We have to bid out anything over $50,000. okay? And we need to do that every time. And we've got a $1.4 million contract we haven't bid for 10 years. And if we take their extension, it's going to be 13 years before we check the market. You know, there are other companies that are interested, and you know, I know of another company that's approached me that's interested, and they asked me what we're going to do, and I says, I don't know. I'm going to propose that we go out to bid. I would like to see what's out there. Whether it does or not, I can't tell you where this is going to wind up. But I just still go back to that fiduciary responsibility that we have to the residents of this community, and spending $1.4 million a year and never testing the waters, that just doesn't sit real right with me. So that's all. Anybody else? Mrs. Stauffer?
I don't want, you know, you said every 3 years we've made this decision. And there's a reason why. I mean, we've said, let's continue this because they provide a good service, and we've gotten good advice, I think, from our service director. They've been satisfied, the residents have been satisfied with the service and the price. So there's a risk if we go out, we could end up paying more. And I think residents should know that. Not going to bid, it's certainly not going to save us money by going out to bid. We're not going to be paying less.
You don't know what the other companies, anybody else is going to bid, though, Maureen. There is a risk. There's always a risk.
There is a risk.
No matter what.
Likely,
so why do we bid out our street program? Why do we bid out the street striping program? Why don't we just call the same people in next year and tell them, look, we're going to do another contract with you. What's your price for this year?
We paused our street program during COVID.
I know we did.
That's what I'm
but I'm saying when we do it again next year, so why don't we just call those folks in and say, you know, give us your thoughts on, you know, what the price might be.
Responsibility, to me, that's the responsibility. Do I want to take a risk? And I mean, most likely, we know the cost of everything is going up. So to think or to even present that we're going to put it out, we're going to come back with a lower bid is really not realistic.
Well, that's seeing the glass half empty. Okay.
Well,
and you know, the example I gave, of course, it's not apples to apples, and I understand that, and I see some chatter over there. It's not because we don't have a contract with the street striper. We had 1-year contract. So to say that we're going to call them back and do another, you know, give them an extension, we can't do that. But I mean, it's like the same thing. It's like, why do we bid things out then? And we bid things out over, you know, $50,000 and more. But $1.4 million, we say, okay, then let's go 13 years.
I don't feel like we've said okay, though.
But we did.
Disagree.
That's what we've done.
We decided it, though, after looking and considering all the options. We weren't just...
We didn't get any other prices.
But we had advice from our...
Yeah, we took their opinion that said, this is a good deal for you, right. City of Twinsburg.
So it isn't that we just said, yeah, thank you.
Well, Mr. Campbell doesn't have any other prices right now. He doesn't know what anybody's going to do.
Well, I don't. I mean, in the last...
Do you, Mr. Campbell?
Years, I do not believe that everybody's saying that we all sat up here and said, okay, we'll take this. And that's what I think.
We did. It was based on the fact that they came in and we thought that it was a good trade-off at the time.
Right.
But it's gone on for 10 years, okay? And now it'll go on for 13 years. That's the only reason I'm bringing it up. You know, I mean, we could spar all night long, and I'm not sparring. We could discuss this,
right.
But at the end of the day, we're all going to vote our own hearts. So that's why I brought it up, and I think that's what we have to do. Anybody else? Any discussion? Shannon, call the roll.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
No.
Mrs. Labby?
No.
Mr. Barr?
No.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mrs. Stauffer?
No.
Okay, motion fails. 3 more years. Okay, the last thing on my report is this Thursday is Veterans Day. I would like to thank all the vets that have gone out and supported our country, and especially the vets at our post 4929. Thank you for your service, all of them. That's it. Mayor's report.
All right. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Just different things that have gone on around town. Our fall festival, if you weren't able to attend that, we did it up behind the pool Their pavilions up there. It turned out to be a great event. Weather cooperated. We had this nice little window of no rain for once starting this week, and it was well attended. I think all the residents kind of figured that out, started coming out, and I just got a tremendous amount of compliments from the people that were attending. We had a bunch of supporters and different companies there that were sponsors of the event and brought kids candy and a bunch of different things that they handed out. So hopefully something that we can build on for next year. It was kind of a combination of a couple different events. Thank the service department for getting all the vehicles up there, fire, police. I know it was funny having all the horns the kids found their way inside them and just honked horns the whole time, but they had a good time doing that. But I just want to thank everyone that was there and helped put that event on. It was a really fun event. This weekend we have our turkey trot, so it's a 5-mile race, and then we also have a 1-mile fun run. It's an event we've been doing for years. I think we got about 100 people pre-registered. That's going to grow as we get closer to Sunday, but I encourage council to come out and cheer people on or participate, whatever you'd like to do. But it should be another good event. It's going to be a cool day. It always seems to be, no matter how warm it is during the week, it seems to always be cold for that event. I think the high is 39 that day, so it'll be fun. The NOPAC General Assembly meeting occurred today, and we received the NOPAC Green Ribbon Award. The city takes, and so as Mr. Fury shared, we have our electric aggregate with NOPAC, and part of the program we get a grant each year to do energy saving projects around the city, and we can use that for different things, a lot of lighting projects, our charging stations that we have for our vehicles. We just recently did the fire department, so we did windows, doors there, and that's what we won the award for, so we got recognized today for that. I did this weekend attend Wally celebration, and this was put on by the HANA Association, which is the Telugu Association of North America, and that's the specific language that they speak in Southern India. But I was invited to the event, I attended the whole event, and Glen Eagles. It was really well put on. The singing and the dancing that they had was fantastic, and they were so gracious to the city. And so, we really worked hard to make sure they had that event there. And the fireworks were fantastic. I think they went on for close to 20 minutes. And I know American Fireworks helped them out quite a bit, but I just received a lot of emails and texts that it was a wonderful event. People really enjoyed seeing the fireworks, especially at that part of town they've never seen them before. So I want to thank them for inviting me. It was an honor to be able to attend that event with them, and hopefully they're able to do it again next year and get a bigger crowd out there watching fireworks. I want to thank Tom Queen from our Joyce office. He came and brought flags to all council. I was fortunate enough to receive one in the past. And I know that Ms. Walker was part of that, gave me a flag, and has now accomplished it for all of the council. So I want to thank him for coming out. I just want to thank all the voters for coming out. The elections this year, we had a pretty contested school board race. I want to congratulate Rhonda Crawford, Tina Davis, and Leah Travis for they're going to be serving on the school board coming up. I also want to thank Greg Wall and Michael Walker. It takes a lot to put yourself out there, go door to door, campaign, do all the things that we do to get elected and serve these crazy positions that we have. But and so I just want to thank them because it's not an easy task to do. It impacts your family, it impacts your business, it impacts everything that you're involved in. So I want to thank them. And I know the two of them, they'll stay very involved in the community and continue to do things that benefits Twinsburg. And then I also want to congratulate our council. I think it says a lot that we had 4 council seats up, probably the first time in the history of Twinsburg that were unopposed. So I think it says a lot of the work that council's done over the last 4 or 5 years. Greg Bell, Scott Barr, Karen Levy, and David Post will be joining us. And we'll go through a lot of formal advice to offer at the next meeting. But I look forward to, again, working with all of you. It's been It's been a crazy ride over the last few years, but we've accomplished a lot, and I look forward to all that we're going to accomplish here in the future. A lot of things have happened, there's going to be a lot of changes, and I'm sure that we'll find our way to agree on things and disagree on things, but we'll make the best of it, hopefully, for the residents here in Twinsburg. For those who want to attend the swearing in, so based on our charter, we have to swear in our new council on December 1st. So we will have a special meeting on December 1st where we'll be swearing council in at that time. And then I just want to wish everyone a happy Veterans Day. Thank all the veterans that are in our community. And all that they've done for our country, and the ones that have served and the ones that continue to serve. But special day, so hope everyone takes time to do that. That is all I have this evening. We've got a few department head reports.
First this week. Good evening. For October, just hit on some of the highlights from the police department. Total of 2,414 calls for service. That brings us to 24,692 to date. A couple numbers of note. We had 2 more theft incidents, specifically involving catalytic converters. 12 counts of possession of drugs. 2 domestic violence incidents, 14 counts of operating vehicle under the influence of alcohol and/or drugs, 1 count endangering children, 3 warrants served, 5 open containers in public, 41 written warnings. 62 people were arrested and/or cited on a total of 106 counts. As far as traffic goes, we had a total of 30 traffic crashes we investigated. 7 were injury crashes, and 4 of those were on private property. A couple of items of note. As council's aware, we're department's going through changes and spanning or looking to fill voids in rank. So I'm very happy, I'm very pleased with the progress we've made since our last meeting. We finalized our, if I take a little bit of Michael's thunder here. We finalized our list for the patrol exam. We ended up with a final list of 25. And I think we touched on it last meeting about how hard it is to get candidates in general to come out for the test. We actually had a pretty good number that showed up. We lost a few in the physical agility, some didn't show. These things happen. The course of the test takes time, takes weeks. People get other positions, change their mind, things like that. So we ended up with a final list of 25 candidates. So it looks like we've got some good men and women to work through. And this week we are actually starting on the backgrounds for some of the top candidates. So the sergeant's test results were certified by Civil Service. We began the selection process for that this week. I'm very, very happy, very excited about that. And the lieutenants are in the midst of their testing process. So hopefully in the next few weeks we'll have some promotions here to announce. In addition to that, I think while I have your ear at each of these meetings, I want to bring to light an incident of note. Our men and women do it every day, every week, every month, all year long. But when something comes up that I think is worth noting, I'd like to bring it to your attention. So this past Thursday on the 4th, it was about 11:30 at night. I'll read you the press narrative and then I'll just give a little bit of detail and I'll be done. TPD officers initiated a pursuit of a stolen vehicle that was taken at gunpoint in Cuyahoga County. The vehicle was disabled with use of stop sticks on Interstate Route 480 in Twinsburg. The driver was taken into custody and booked into Solon Jail, where he will be arraigned via video with Stowe Municipal Court for receiving stolen property, felony 3, and failure to comply, felony 4. Further investigation revealed that the driver is a homicide suspect with Garfield Heights Police Department. So earlier that same night, just within a few hours of this incident, the same suspect, the vehicle he was driving was carjacked. He had carjacked that vehicle, and he is suspected of committing a homicide mere hours before we apprehended him in Garfield Heights. We didn't have all the information. Our guys were acting on information as it was coming in. It's a hard thing to do. What we knew is they had a stolen vehicle they were pursuing. It had been GPSed, located in Twinsburg. It was moving. Oakwood got into a pursuit, terminated it. We ended up finding the vehicle. We were able to disable the vehicle, stop it, and the operator was not very cooperative, but we were eventually able to extract him from the vehicle, place him under arrest. Garfield Heights, I've heard from their chief, just thoroughly impressed with the job our officers did. Throughout the night, the assistance we offered them, he couldn't be more gracious, he couldn't be more complimentary of our officers. In fact, the next day, our bureau went above and beyond in helping them. So it's good work like that I think y'all need to be aware of. Sometimes those things make the news. You know, we do things daily that don't. But when something big of note like that comes up, I think it's worth mentioning. So
Thanks, Chief.
that's all I have unless anyone has any
Thank you,
questions.
Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Safe.
Thanks, Chief.
Good evening. For the month of October, we responded to 292 calls for service. That brings us to a total of 2,739 for the year. That's 13% ahead of last year's call volume. And we had about 31% of the time we had overlapping calls. In fire prevention, we completed 19 safety inspections, 41 re-inspections, and 4 alarm or sprinkler or hood inspections. We also worked on 6 fire investigations. And just, I guess, for explanation on that, it's one of the things that the fire chief is actually charged to do, is find the cause of fire and report on that. So even if it's just a pot on the stove or, you know, something minor of that, you know, we officially open an investigation, investigate it, and report accordingly. So no significant fires in the city of Twinsburg this past month. Going on, we had 111 training exercises totaling 484 hours of training. And we also had about 10 hours of public education through the course of the month, contacting over 1,000 people, and of course that included open house. On November 6th, we had our weather warning siren tests, and most of them functioned properly. The one at Liberty and Post did not function at all, and the one at Liberty and Cannon still has a bad indicator light on it, so those will be looked into by the service department. Our facilities, you know, we put a lot of effort alongside with the service department in keeping our facilities up to in good condition. And so I started several years ago trying to do some annual maintenance things to help with that. And so we had all the carpets cleaned in both stations and disinfected. We had all the tile floors steam cleaned and the grout sealed to keep it in good condition. The composite floors, those were stripped and waxed by the service department personnel. And then we had a duct cleaning service come into Station 1 and clean all the ducts in the building. You know, it's a 50-year-old building. It's starting to collect things. So those are some of the efforts we undertake to keep the buildings in good shape. With regard to the fleet, Engine 1 has been out of service for several weeks now. It is related to emissions issues, and unfortunately they're having a hard time getting the parts. So we're just kind of in a waiting pattern until the parts are received and can be installed. And we still have aerial and ladder testing that needs to be completed this year. We're still trying to work out the scheduling on that, hoping it comes up through the course of this month. Our COVID operations have stayed pretty status quo. We've had no more of our employees sick at this point. And we continue to work on the alerting systems at both stations. I think some of the final steps were actually completed today. So hopefully both of those systems will be operating well into the future. And that is the extent of my report for tonight.
Thank you, Chief.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. Chris?
Good evening, council. Service department, couple of our programs, one of which the branch chipping for the year has been completed. We did the November round, and we only had 121 homes served. So I think the program was even winding down for the community. So that's good to have that done. Leaf program, we're doing, I think the crews are doing fantastic. They're keeping ahead of it. Very aggressive out there. The crews themselves are talking about willing to run some overtime. They want to possibly run a couple of the holidays. So we're doing really good right now. Streets look pretty good. I expect that we are going to fall behind a little bit because, I think the leaves are going to start coming down pretty heavy. But we are ahead of it. So I think we're doing real well there. Just a reminder, December 6th, we'll be back on winter shifts. And the last thing I have, and I'm really happy to give you an update, we've made great progress with Ohio Edison for the streetlight outages. I have to mention my administrative assistant, Simone. She spent the better part of today on the phone with Ohio Edison, and there's a lot of moving parts to this, but the bottom line is we have a person at Ohio Edison that when we have a list, and he told us what we have to do to make that list the most usable for them. We will establish the list, we'll email it over to him. He will establish the work. He'll send us back information, the work order numbers or whatever numbers they use. And I hesitate to tell you this, but he says that once he gets everything in the system, a light, if it's strictly a light replacement, it can be done in as little as 3 days. So
The pole across the street from the clubhouse has been out for 2 years.
well, this is a new program. We're just getting into this.
The whole pole.
We haven't launched this thing yet.
But it's been 2 years.
Well, okay.
I got it.
We are going to do our level best to get this
Yeah.
enhanced, okay?
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Hey, Chris, I do have a question. With the leaf pickup, I think last year you might have sent a route. You said they go on certain routes.
They go, yeah. Mhm.
We don't have access to that, do we, as council people? Because I do get calls, from people who will say, when is they coming on our street? And I never know the answer.
Yeah, we can give you that list. We can tell you where it's at. But we've had days where we'll cover 10 streets.
Okay.
We've had other times where we cover 2 streets. So people try to narrow us down to a day or a couple days.
Yeah.
Really tough to do that. And I hate to promise somebody that we're going to be there tomorrow or the next day, and we're not.
Well, I look more like in the weeks, like do you go to Eden's Green at the beginning of the month and Heritage Hills the end of the month? I'm looking more at like general kind of patterns, just so we can say they should be there, before, in the next 2 weeks.
We can certainly give you information as far as where we're at and how long it's taken us to get through.
It probably would save you some phone calls because if the council people had that information, then they could just say.
Absolutely. Sure.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for taking care of the street light.
All righty.
You also.
Thank you.
Really appreciate
I
it.
just want to say the guys are actually doing a great job. Trying to stay ahead of the leaves. They're coming down a little bit later. I just be cautious with the residents. At 5 o'clock, 5:15 or so, I noticed a crew that was out there, so it's basically dark. They had lights going and they were still picking up leaves, so just be very careful driving around them, giving plenty of space. Just be safe doing that because their safety out there as well as if when it's starting to get dark and you're not supposed to put on work. But we've authorized some overtime, so we're going to have guys out there trying to get ahead of this so we're not kicking broken miles in December.
Thank you.
Sarah?
Good evening, Council. In Finance, we are beginning our year-end processes, wrapping up accounts payable items, purchasing, payroll, some budget coverage moves. So we're also completing our training cycles in the departments. We've done 8 of the departments so far, so those are going really well. We appreciate everybody signing up for those. We're working on the close of the October books. We hope to have those turned around a little faster than we have in the previous months, so we'll have that out to you guys as soon as it's done. And this month at Finance Committee, 2 weeks from today, we are going to start at 5:30 instead of 6. There's a representative from the Ohio Treasurer's Office to present a mock-up of what our website would look like if we wanted to join in on that Ohio checkbook. And she'll have information as well on the other cities that are participating in the county, and how you can use the search function, and she'll essentially do like a little walkthrough of the site, sort of like what Mark's done a couple times on our website. And that's really all I have for tonight.
That's all I have.
Okay.
Can I say one thing?
Real quick.
I want to thank you for that idea with the bid. That is one of the most common sense. Without a bid, you don't know what you got. Another thing, as a trucker for 30 years, you talked about 1 or 2 day pickup. Believe me, when a truck is stopped, it's very good. The accidents I had with people hitting me mainly stopped. If you can get it done in 1 day, it's much safer for people going through town, whatever it is. Because you get an accident with a truck, I had 18 and 22 wheels. I never got hurt. It was a person that hit me that got hurt. And like I said on that fire hydrant deal, I'm sure we have guys in the service department who are very, very qualified. I'd like to, if they could do it, but I know time is up, and I know this year late, this came late, the heat did this year. I know it's very hard, these guys out there, it's a shame. I mean, to see them work that hard sometimes. So, again, thank you for your time. Good evening.
Thank you, Mr. Baldwin. Okay, we'll move on to legislation. We have Ordinance 79, 2021.
An ordinance establishing a policy regarding standard operating procedures for the implementation of the Title VI non-discrimination policy.
Okay, at this time, I make a motion to adopt Ordinance 79, 2021. Is there a second? Mrs. Walker seconds. Any discussion? Shannon, call the roll.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Okay, Ordinance 79, 2021 passes 7-0. Ordinance 84, 2021.
An ordinance amending Chapter 1321 of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Twinsburg regarding enforcement, Architectural Review Board.
Okay, that's its second reading. Next, we have Resolution 85, 2021.
A resolution acknowledging council's receipt and review of the monthly financial statements submitted by the Finance Department for July, August, and September 2021.
Okay, I make a motion that we adopt Resolution 85, 2021. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Yield. I'll say I second.
All right, Mr. Fury. Any discussion? Shannon, call the roll.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Okay, Resolution 85, 2021 passes 7-0. We have Resolution 86, 2021.
A resolution authorizing a conditional use permit for Reborn Fitness Personal Training Studio for parcel number 64-06420, located at 1893 East Aurora Road, Twinsburg, Ohio, as recommended by the Planning Commission, and declaring an emergency.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt Resolution 86, 2021 as an emergency. Is there a second?
A second.
Mr. Fury seconds. Any discussion?
The reason for the emergency is simply to waive the 30-day waiting period, as I understand it.
Yes.
Yes. 10 days. Thank you, Mr. Commissioner.
Anything else? Shannon, call the roll.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Okay. Finally, we have Resolution 87, 2021.
A resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a memorandum of understanding with International Association of Firefighters Local 3630.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt Resolution 87, 2021. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mrs. Stoffer seconds. Any discussion? Shannon? Whoops. Go ahead, Mayor.
I was going to say, I just wanted to thank the council for supporting this, and as well as our fire union. This is something that we've been talking about for a couple of years. This is adjustment to basically the salaries and wages, a couple other minor things within our contract that's been running understanding that hits our younger guys on the path to basically make those senior firefighter jobs over a period of time And, you know, our fire department has been just extremely supportive over the last couple of years. It's been some challenging times with some of the issues we've had here in town, some of the additional membership kind of on the ballot. They were extremely supportive and really kind of stood up their poles and really helped us do a lot of things. So I just want to thank them formally for that, as well as working through this memorandum of understanding. And so hopefully, council's going to support it. Thank you.
Okay. Did we vote yet?
No.
No. Okay. Call the roll.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Okay. Resolution 87, 2021 passes 7-0. That's the end of our legislation tonight. We'll move on to unfinished new business and miscellaneous. Mr. Barr.
Thank you. Again, just thank you to all the voters. As Mr. Bellin stated, I consider it a privilege to serve the residents of the city. And although I was unopposed, it's humbling to receive more than my own vote. So thank you. Thank you for that. I am going to be out of town for the Thanksgiving holiday at our next meeting, which is November 22nd, I believe. With that said, I will not get to be here for Mrs. Stoffer's going away party. And I just wanted to share with her now publicly what a privilege and honor it's been serving with her. Maureen and I didn't always see eye to eye on every issue, but she approaches everything with the best intentions of the people that she serves in mind. Maureen is just, she is a truly selfless, humble servant. Mr. Post, she's going to be a tough act to follow. And our exchanges and our back and forth has taught me a lot, and a lot about how I approach things. I've learned quite a bit from you and the experience that you've had up here. You will be missed, and like I said, it's been wonderful serving with you. So I don't want to, I don't want to take anything away from what's going to happen at the next meeting. Arguably fireworks, maybe in the clubhouse. I don't know. But since I'm not going to be here, I just wanted to say congratulations on your future endeavors.
I really appreciate it. I appreciate those kind of words. It really means a lot.
That's it.
That's all I have, Mr. Scafidi.
Mrs. Labby.
That's all for me tonight.
That's it? Yep. Nothing? Okay. Mrs. Stoffer.
Well, I don't know how I didn't congratulate everybody the first time around, but I feel like I'm not really waiting. Congratulations to you guys. And to David Post, congratulations. Ward 4, you guys are in good hands. You do amazing work, and I'm very proud to be part of it. So, David, you're going to do great. And I know that. Also, that's all.
Okay. Mr. Bellin.
I have a couple quick things here this evening. We had a discussion earlier in caucus about adding the JEDI committee to the list of, officially to the list of committees that the council president will assign a council rep to. So at this time, I'd like to make a motion that council kind of gives instructions to Mr. Maestros to kind of draw up those changes. The changes would be to add the JEDI committee to a level A or a tier A committee, and then strike out the line about council president not being able to serve on one of those A committees. May I have a second?
A second.
Ms. Walker seconds. Any further discussion?
I have one thing. We also mentioned in caucus about removing compensation committee.
I thought we got rid of it already.
We got rid of it, but off this chart.
Oh, well, I would throw that in there too. Then
Let's get rid of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought we got rid
Put
of the
that
committee.
in his motion.
Okay. And then also
As a motion.
I guess to amend my motion to include that as well.
Thank you.
All right. Shannon, please call the roll.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Okay. Motion passes 7-0. Thank you very much. Mayor, I've had a couple questions. I know that the railroad tracks at Glenwood and 91 are scheduled next summer to be to be fixed the way the ones down on Cannon and 82 were. I have had several residents reach out to me within the last 10 days, specifically about the ones on Glenwood. They're really,
By the
really.
bridge?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, that's not 91.
They're doing Glenwood and 91 next year.
Apologize. Okay.
Do we know, is there anything that we can do as some sort of a stopgap between now and I can
check the service, and I believe there's a restriction for us to work on it within a certain distance between, away from that railroad track, but I can check the service.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know if our cold patch or anything we can do right now, standing
I think you're going to have to get a hold of railroad and tell them that they've really deteriorated, and because to work on next to their rails like that, I don't think that's a good idea.
Okay.
But I can find out and I can follow up.
Okay, thank you. Okay. And then finally this evening, I just want to thank the Twinsburg Police Department and the CERT team for driving around during trick or treat on Halloween. It's good to see that presence out there. And I love the fact that our police officers are playing spooky music over the PA. That's just really cool, and I know my kids appreciate it, and I appreciate it. So, and then finally, Happy Veterans Day to all the veterans. Thank you for your service. I appreciate it. Nothing further. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Walker.
I have nothing, thank you.
Mr. Fury.
Thank you. I'd like to wish everybody Happy Veterans Day. Tomorrow, November 10th, though, is the 246th birthday of the United States Marine Corps. It's a big day for Marines, so happy birthday and Semper Fi to my friends. I would like to congratulate the council people that were elected. I forgot to do that earlier. Forward to working with you. Maureen will save the emotional speech for a couple of weeks. I'll be here on the 22nd. Tonight in the slides presentation, we didn't have any information that was false financially to the city that could be found in Facebook or any of the roundtable or the others. It's been 6 weeks since there's been no inaccurate information that we've been able to find. And at the same time, our finance director made the front page of the paper to talk about the financial strides we've made. And those are the indicators for the income tax increase, the property tax increase we did. That was really the yellow on the future was to fix that. So we were accurate, good financial information. And lastly, this is an ongoing challenge that a resident had filed for the names and addresses of the minor children that work in the city of Twinsburg. The law director filed a motion to dismiss over 6 weeks ago, and it still hasn't been touched on at this point. So we've been fighting this since basically the original complaint was filed in early June, and I appreciate your continuing to prevent that information going out and fighting this fight. Thank you. That's all I have.
That's it. Okay. Finally, all I have is the next council meeting will be on November 23rd at 7. Huh?
You're right.
Yeah, November 23rd at 7:30, and we will have a finance committee meeting that evening at 5:30. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Nothing further with me, Steve.
Mr. Maestros.
Nothing, thank you.
Mrs. Collins.
Just happy Veterans Day and thanks to all the veterans.
Okay. That's it. We have no members to excuse, so at this time we will adjourn the meeting.